I've got Chrissy on as well. It looks like we only have, hey, Linda, it looks like I see you. If there's anybody else on, it's not showing us, but we're both Chrissy and I have Storm, so we could just have slow connections. Or people could not be on. They're all boycotting because I canceled last week. Well, the beginning part's just kind of an overview, so we'll just go ahead and get started. So I assume, Linda, that you can see the screen as well. Please let me know. Yes. Okay, good. All right, so let's go ahead and get started then, and maybe we can keep this a little bit shorter than normal, which is very difficult for me. I'm a talker, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So this week was the fourth in the series for the Marketing Master Series. And we're going to be talking about content marketing and blogging basics. Oops. All right, so let's recap real quick. So sessions 1 and 2, we focused on building our foundation for search engine optimization, backlinks, and clarifying our content and products. In session 3, we talked about email marketing. And the reason why we put that in session 3 is so we could start capturing emails as we get started with the rest of the marketing. Now, today we're going to focus on content marketing and blogging, specifically because blogging is a way to deliver content. It's only one way. And I'm just going to cover the basics because we've talked about blogging before and there's a lot of information. And I already know that there's a lot of people in our group that go different directions in this. So we're just going to cover at a high level. Now, content marketing is huge. It really is huge. And there's a lot of different opinions on it. I tried to see if I can find somebody who had a succinct description and so I could bring that in. And honestly, it's all over the place. So this is just going to be more of a general overview. And you may have others in the marketing world that differ in how they talk about content. So of course, my preferred blogging platform is WordPress. We've talked about this many, many times. But content is actually delivered through a variety of methods. So we'll talk a little bit more past blogging, but we're going to focus on blogging because that's like the easiest one. All right, so what is content marketing? So the Google dictionary, because Wikipedia is our agreed upon definition, but a dictionary must be right, I guess. But it defines content marketing as a type of marketing that involves the creation and sharing of online material such as videos, blogs, and social media posts that does not explicitly promote a brand, but is intended to stimulate interest in its products or services. So the element is content marketing is typically educational. It can be entertainment as well, but for most of us, it's going to be educational. It could be entertainment too. But the point is that it doesn't focus on selling the products or services, but it is definitely related to them. Like you wouldn't want to go, oh, hey, let's talk about traveling to Europe and you're selling shoes that, high heel shoes that, well, I guess you could wear those in Europe, but okay, so you wouldn't want to sell dog leashes to people traveling in Europe, right? Because they're not in the least bit interested in that. So these are things that you want to make sure that they're still related. And here are some examples. So maybe a newsletter that covers trends affecting financial markets, right? So the newsletter talks about the financial markets and the trends with related to that. The company providing the newsletter sells funds, but the information in the newsletter is just value. So they're kind of building goodwill with their followers in that. And here's another example. You might have something like 10 beagle potty training tips, right? Because beagles, they like to buck the norm for potty training significantly. I'm in a couple of beagle groups and oh my gosh, I can't even tell you how many people were like, yeah, it took me like 5 times longer than what they say it should take for dogs for potty training them. I'm like, that's because it's a beagle. So so that could be something that's very specific to your audience. And maybe you are an e-commerce place that promotes beagle merchandise, but you're building that goodwill amongst your audience of beagle lovers. And this is another one, Baby Center. So Baby Center is all about pregnancy and baby care. And it really is a lot of good articles, just information. It's just packed full of information. But it's owned by Johnson & Johnson. And they sell, of course, a variety of products for babies, toddlers, adults, and everything else. So why content marketing? So I'm going to preface this by content marketing is not for everyone. It is a lot of work and it can take a while for a return, if at all. Right? I mean, think about that. Johnson & Johnson, they're running that. Who knows if they're actually making any specific dollar amounts? Like they can go, oh yeah, the baby center site is making us X amount of dollars. They can't necessarily relate that to it, right? They can't say we are making X amount of dollars specifically because of that site, because most people are going into Walmart or they're going into Walgreens or whatever, and they're buying the products there. So they may not be buying Johnson & Johnson products. So there's really no way for Johnson & Johnson to say, oh, hey, this site's making us X amount of dollars, right? They're just kind of building goodwill. And I don't even think the site is really branded Johnson & Johnson at all. Like, I didn't know that until I was reading something. I was like, oh, well, I guess I didn't pay attention to that. But it's a good site. So they're providing that value. And there may be some people out there and there may not be others. So that's just one of those. Content marketing is a lot of work and you may not be able to say, here's our direct return from it. Now, content marketing can help your site rank in Google, assuming you're doing search engine optimization. And we'll talk more about ways that happens. Content marketing can get your brand in front of others trying to solve a problem. As an example, the potty training beagles, right? So I could write an article and publish it on my site. And if that gets shared into other groups and shared with other beagle lovers, then those people are going to likely come back to my site or my group, whatever it is that I have, and they may be purchasing my products from that. And again, that may not be a direct correlation, right? I may just be bringing them back to my Facebook page. And then as they engage with my post, I might be retargeting them. And then the ad looks like that. It's the one making the money. So content marketing really is very difficult to say, hey, this is making us X amount of money. Content marketing can set you apart from your competition. You look like an expert by providing answers to questions, which builds brand loyalty. And then people, of course, are more likely to buy from you rather than somebody they don't know or somebody that only promotes products to them. There are various content methods, so content delivery methods. So this can expose you to new audiences. For example, if you publish an Amazon ebook, you can hit book readers on Amazon, where those people may not be on Facebook yet, or they may not have found you on Facebook yet. They can be exposed to your brand on Amazon if you've written an ebook. It's just a completely different delivery method there. All right, so here's some content marketing ideas for you. Educational articles. Now those, of course, I have educational articles here and then content web pages, typically through blogging down here. Educational articles can be done on blogs, but we'll leave educational articles in its separate category because that is a method. Then ebooks and or physical books. Videos, these are commonly, you see these on YouTube where people will have entertainment or educational videos on YouTube and then point back to their products and services back on their main site. But a lot of videos are viewed without any result other than, okay, maybe somebody follows your channel or something. Apps. Now I added this one in. I found a whole list, actually half these I added in. So I added apps in because apps are newer. And this is a way that you can provide value to your audience if an app is appropriate, of course. For example, let's say that let's say you're in the financial market and you're like, oh, hey, let's create this app so people can go in and they can like calculate things, or they can look at trends that you specifically drive through your app. Give them a reason to go back into their app and give them that value. Infographics. Infographics are less common now because they tend to like give everything away in them, but they're still really popular. People love infographics. They love to look at it. They love to see the flow. That descriptive imagery that they get from that is really, it's consumed quite well. But a lot of marketers have steered clear of them more recently because they found that they don't convert to people being whatever the next steps are. So, oh, here's my infographic on how to build your own, how to build backlinks. Oh, here, buy my course on how to build backlinks. Why? I've got your infographic. And that's what tends to happen, is that people won't go to the next steps because the infographic gives them so much information. However, if you are providing an infographic that's related to your niche, not necessarily stealing or like minimizing the people that are converting, this is still a really good way to build that good rapport with your audience. And then we've got content web pages. And so I said content web pages other than educational articles, because this can be just about anything educational, informational, just random. I mean, this can be self-generated content from, recapping Facebook posts. It could be a lot of stuff. And this is content web pages is typically through blogging. You can do webinars focused on providing value or content. A lot of webinars we're seeing these days are all providing, oh yeah, here, we're going to teach you how to do this. And then you get on there and you get 5 minutes of somebody telling you an overview, and then you get an hour and a half of sales. And it's like, oh, that's so annoying. That is not providing value or content. Now, there are some sales webinars that do provide value and content, but typically you can do content marketing through webinars as well, as long as you minimize the sales part. And then podcasts, which I'm not a podcaster, so I'm just gonna leave that up there and not say much about it. All right, so here are some examples that I found, right? Or I came up with, whatever. So a cooking or baking magazine that shows how to bake or cook, right? So they're gonna show you, oh, hey, we're gonna bake this cake, or we're gonna decorate this cake or something. And then when as they're explaining how to do this, they may promote their products and their supplies within the content, right? They're going to say, okay, well, we'll use this tip to get this result. And that links over to a product that they sell. But the emphasis on the entire article is on content. So in this instance, they're providing value when they're linking to their product. They're saying, hey, we use this tip to make this result. And they're not really pressuring people to say, oh, buy this tip. You have to buy this tip. They're not saying that. They're just saying, this is the tip we used to make this result. And then that's it. So it's really, really, really subtle, right? And people who want to make that particular design, if they don't have that tip, they're going to click on it and probably buy it. Now, I'm going to tell you guys now, before I get too much further, that content marketing in and of itself, again, like I said, you can't really directly say, hey, I made a sale from this. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Usually you can't. And that tends to be the case, right? So you're going to have, if somebody's looking for a baking or a cake decorating tip, if they're looking for a cake decorating tip, you're going to have a much better chance of them buying it if that's what they're looking for, right? So if somebody's looking for cake decorating tip and you have the tip that they want, that matches a lot better than if they're looking on how to decorate a cake and you happen to have a link to a specific tip in there, because the percentage of people looking for that is going to be much, much lower. Maybe they just like the pretty pictures. So any type of conversion percentage is not going to be really applicable in the case of content marketing. But I will say that a lot of big brands, that's how they become big brands, right? That's all throughout the years. If you look back at the biggest brands that you can think of, it's probably through some sort of content marketing. The best, what is that football? What's the end football? Chrissy, what's that end football when the whole season ends? Super Bowl, right? Super Bowl?
What you're talking about, yeah.
I'm like, no, I can't remember what the other word was, but yeah. Right. When they make a score, one of those. No,
make a goal.
Right.
Just kidding.
Anyway, so Super Bowl, the Super Bowl ads that do the best. I heard her explain that he cried. Yeah. Well, sorry, I couldn't think of the name of it. So Super Bowl, which is funny because that was a big thing here back when it froze, and anyway, when it was here in Arlington. But anyway, so Super Bowl, the Super Bowl ads, the most viewed and the most popular ones are ones that are not educational, but entertaining, right? The most entertaining ones. And you can see those coming from some of the biggest brands out there. And that's because they know that they need to keep that relationship with their audience. And so of course they're big enough, that's all they have to focus on. They don't really have to do ads or anything else. They can literally just do content marketing and remind people about them. But they've been around forever. Back when they first got started, they were running ads. They were paying the original, this is way back in the day, right? When they were paying the original soap operas, or it's sponsored by the soap companies. That's how I remember. But anyway, so they started that way. But what's great now is that we can actually start with content marketing as a way to bring people in. So we've evolved as humans into more than just being influenced by an ad. We now need more than just an ad. And that's why content marketing is still important. All right. So, like I have another example I have here is best features of beagles is voted on by viewers, right? So you can pick, like, you can find like maybe 4, 5, 6 different features and put it on your Facebook page and say, hey, vote on what features you think are the best features of beagles. And then people, of course, will comment on that and everything else. So it's self-generated content in this case, where you create the post, people vote on it, and then now you create a blog post about that, right? So now you do a blog post talking about the what makes beagles the best, something like that. And then you can, of course, from there you can monetize your post, or you can include ads back to your product, whatever it is. But you've created that post that is specifically around that user-generated content, where you've created that from the users on your Facebook page. They've voted this. You create a blog post that talks about it. Maybe you explain a little bit, pull in some information from some expert sources, and you've got a really good blog post. Blog posts that answer how-to questions. These are really content, right? Content, how to do something, how to anything is going to be content, and that is one of the largest content pieces that you can find, and one of the smallest converting. Like, you can almost not make a sale from this. So it really is to provide that value to your viewers. Now, again, if anybody has been in marketing long enough, you know that you can't just shove ads down your viewers' throats, because what they do eventually is they stop listening to you, they stop following you, they stop engaging with you, they unsubscribe, whatever it is, whatever medium it is. You're going to lose your followers if you just keep trying to sell them over and over again. But if you mix in content with that, they're going to be looking forward to that content, and they're not going to mind an occasional ad, and then it'll be there when they're ready to buy. So it's good to mix that up. And so how-to posts are extremely popular. Again, we'll go back to the beagle example, how to potty train a beagle, right? How to. And so those how-to are very important to people who are looking for stuff. And if they look at you as an expert, they go, oh, wait, I know that they've got a lot of posts. I've seen a lot of posts from them that has really good information. They're an expert. I trust them. I am loyal to them to a degree. And they're going to be more warmed up to buying something from you. Now, this was one that Neil Patel recommended, that was create a tool on your site. He was actually talking about this for search engine optimization. And he said, because he did that, so he made Uber Suggest. And that's from Neil Patel. And Uber Suggest is a keyword tool. I think I showed you guys that in a prior session. And so he gets a lot of traffic from that, because people go to the tool and then they sign up for next steps. Now, I wouldn't say, if you're selling e-commerce stuff, create a tool for keyword research. That's not even close to related. And you may not even need a tool. You may do something else. But, one that I thought of was when we were talking about back when all of us were doing Trek stuff, what they should have done, not necessarily them, but somebody should have done, and I know somebody has, but is they create a tool and calculate your profits, right? So you can do this with Printful, with just about all the print-on-demand companies now, where you can plug in a dollar amount and they tell you what it is, but they don't tell you everything, right? They make it look good based on what they're promoting. So instead, if you're doing something that's related to, if you're selling a product, or you're trying to get somebody to, I know there's a lot of people in our group at one point, they were interested in doing fundraising. So you can say, calculate your fundraising amount or something, and see how many you need to sell. And so if you build that calculator on your page, and so people can search it, that's one way that people can go, oh, calculate a fundraising amount. Okay, and I don't know, I have to do research to see what the keyword is, but they find that tool and they come into your site that way. And guess what? You're now an expert on fundraising, because you just showed them how to calculate out their fundraising stuff with just a tool on your page. So, and there are really easy ways to make tools. I would say follow Neil Patel, or search Neil Patel, create a tool on your site, and if you're interested in doing that. Another thing you can do is solve problems in your niche. And we'll talk more about how to find some of this information. But pretty much anything that offers value and minimizes or doesn't even sell products or services is going to be good for content, right? So you're looking more at education and information. Those are your two big ones. Oops, did I do that right? Content marketing examples. Yeah, okay. So let's talk about, so we're going to talk research blogging topics. Again, we're going to focus on blogging as content because that's the most common way to deliver the content. So we're thinking, well, what content to create? Yeah, Linda said you were kind of trying to get in the back door. Yeah, that's true. We're trying to think of creative ways to reach our audience because again, I mean, you can look at search volume, right? So when people are looking for beagle, let's actually see how to potty train a beagle. That's even still small, 170. Let's see what they have. So beagle puppies, right? 165,000 search volume for beagle puppies. We've got, even if you narrow down to blue tick beagle. So these are obviously people who are interested in beagle puppies, right? Now I'm not selling beagle puppies, but if I were, what about creating, if I was breeding beagle puppies and I was saying, hey, I want people to buy them or adopt them, whatever term you want to use, you could always come up with a bunch of different articles where people are searching for them and say, hey, this is what it is. But let's just say you're looking at, we talked about this before, so beagle shirt, right? So the number of people looking for a beagle shirt, ironically, is more than people looking for how to potty train a beagle. So beagle shirt, let's just type in beagle, which is really vague in general. 1,830,000, right? So 1 million, yeah, Linda, beagles, they're adorable until they start howling out your back door. And then you're like, can you debark a beagle? And it sounds worse when they're debarked, by the way. I've never debarked one, but I've heard others that were debarked. It doesn't work. They figure out how to do it. So anyway, yeah, it is awful when they're debarked. But I love beagles. They're very friendly dogs. I had to get rid of my beagle because he somehow became too aggressive with Cassandra when she was born. And that's really uncommon for a beagle, but we had no choice. It was either him or her. And obviously I'm not going to give up my daughter. So the little butthead went to another home. He was being kind of a jerk to me. So 1,830,000. And if I want to reach those people, I'm going to have to do it through all those other keywords. And so that's a way to find, a lot of people aren't going to type in beagle shirt. They're going to be more interested in looking at, they're going to be scrolling on Pinterest. They're going to see the shirt, right? For pit bull, let's see. $2.2 million. Yep, pit bull definitely gets more searches. I want to say that's partly because it encompasses a couple of different, like Pitbull is more vague now than what it used to be. But anyway, yeah, so Pitbull does get a lot of searches. I see a lot of articles about it too, mostly from you, Linda, but that's just because I follow you, right? So anyway, so let's see, research blogging topics. So these are different ways that we can do that. Keyword research, just like I was doing, right? And you can find the actual terms people use. We've talked about this in sessions 1 and 2, but keywords everywhere, Uber suggest, answer the public. There's a ton of them out there, and we covered several in those. And then you can find the exact keywords, right? So those keywords will help give you additional keywords and additional ideas. So Facebook groups or forums. So what do people need help with related to your niche? Example, the beagle potty training. Like I said, I'm in a couple of beagle groups. And I can't tell you, I think every day somebody's posting something about how to potty train a new beagle, or they're complaining about how their beagle's not getting potty trained like their other dogs did. And I mean, it's insane, right? So you see this and you're like, okay, people clearly have a need for that. And they're going into these Facebook groups and they're asking for help. And so if you're in a Facebook group, if you're not, maybe you join a group and you can see what people are asking about, so you can write content related to that and provide that content, not necessarily to the group, but in general, and hope that maybe it gets back into the group. Google Trends. So Google Trends is an interesting area to look at. It's also keyword based. So you'll need your keywords to get started, but then it'll also reveal more keywords, and some of them are not related. So just be warned in advance that Google likes to just randomly throw stuff in and say, hey, this might be related to it. No, that's politics. I'm searching e-commerce. What the heck? Yeah, it does it all the time, right? So, but Google Trends is a good one to see what is trending and see if it's on the downtrend or uptrend. Then, of course, trending content on any platform. So Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube, I mean, any of these that have where you can click trending, you can find out information that is trending and see if that, is related, and you can share that information or write similar content, whatever it is. And ideally, you're finding it on the platform your audience visits, because then you know that they'd be interested in that content, right? So, oh, hey, we're seeing that this is trending and that's on the platform. So if I'm on Pinterest, oh, this is trending on Pinterest, or this is really popular on Pinterest, which I don't know if Pinterest does trending anymore. Let's skip Pinterest. Let's say Twitter. So Twitter does do trending. So it's trending on Twitter, and you've already identified that your audience is on Twitter. Then you can say, oh, yeah, that would be something that people may be interested in. I can kind of piggyback off of that, right? Or maybe do another angle based on what they said. Now, of course, we talked about this in sessions 1 and 2 with the Google autocomplete. And then there's also Google's people also ask, right? So we'll do a how-to real quick. So how to wash your car, right? Let's see here. This one right here. People also ask. How-tos tend to be it. So I can't believe 1,900 people a month search how to wash your car. That was a joke. I was typing it in as a joke because it was raining outside earlier and I need to wash my car. That is crazy. So anyway, so the people also ask is another area. Now, what's funny is that a lot of times these will not show up. So what soap can I use to wash my car may or may not be a keyword that shows up in as searchable, right? So let's say that I look at that one. Only 320 per month. But because they're saying that people are asking that. Oh, this is all from Keywords Everywhere, Linda. This is all, so the related keywords people also search for. It does not always show up. And here's the example I was going to show you. So let's say I put in Celtic ornaments, which I do a lot, right? I type in Celtic ornaments. There's nothing. Oh, I guess there are some related keywords. Maybe it was just broken earlier. But there is no people also ask. And this is only visible to me. So anyway, so there's no people also ask on this, right? Even though this one says people also search for, which you can see searches related to Celtic ornaments. This is from Keywords Everywhere. And this is from Google stuff, I think. So sometimes it shows up, sometimes it doesn't. They're doing a lot of updates on Keywords Everywhere, so expect there to be some glitches. But anyway, it didn't show up earlier. That was interesting. But like I said, the people also ask it tends not to show up for product keywords because you're not asking a question. So if people ask a question, you can see other questions that they're asking. And if Google's putting it there, that means that it's probably got high enough search volume to say, hey, that might be worth another article related to it or something. It's a good way just to bring in a couple more people or, whatever that is. All right, so now you're going to create the content. So, and we're going to talk about blogging in specifics. You're going to pick a blogging platform or build your own blog and your own hosting. I self-host, and right now I'm using SiteGround, which is really good. And I like WordPress. So I use SiteGround's managed WordPress, and you can do like 500 sites on it or something on the level I'm at, but they have smaller levels. And I build my sites with a free Elementor plugin. So it's a drag and drop. And Elementor has a lot of support on YouTube. If you guys are like, oh, hey, I really want to learn how to build a site that's really pretty, then Elementor is probably your bet. And you can just go to their site. Now, I do recommend you get Elementor Pro, but at $200 and something a year, that includes the templates, you can just get the $8 Elementor Pro from Theme Canal. And so you exclude the templates, but you just build everything from scratch. It's actually quite easy in my opinion, but I don't know. Templates are easy too. I'm not saying that. So keep your research in mind for keywords, but you're going to focus on providing value. So when you write, you're writing to your reader, right? You're going to say how to potty train a beagle. And so you're just going to basically keep that in your title, in your first sentence, and maybe in your first H2 tag, which is your second header. But for the most part, you're going to write naturally that you would, like if you were going to be writing to somebody and explaining it. My husband used to always joke that he loves the way I write because, in fact, that's what we met online, and he found my writing and he was like, and reached out to me because he said, oh yeah, you write really well. He's like, I like the way you write. And I was like, what? I write like I talk to people. And he's like, I love that. He's like, I love the way you write. And so that's what kind of got us talking, was because he said he loved the way I wrote. And then when he met me, he was like, it's even better. He goes, you talk the way you write. I was like, well, it's not much different. Why would I not say that? So he liked that, and he likes the way I write. And that's why I've never had a problem with writing to people. But if you do, then just write like you would when you're talking to someone, and use Grammarly. And I put it down here, but use Grammarly, because that'll fix any grammar issues or spelling issues or anything else. So focus on focus each content page on one topic. So if you're going to talk about potty training, talk about potty training. Don't talk about, okay, well, now that you're, oh, well, since we're talking about beagles, let's talk about, how to leash train them or something. That's a completely different topic. And because it's a completely different topic, it completely warrants its own page, right? So you want its own page on that topic, and you want to just focus on potty training on that page. And that's important for your readers, because they're going to get confused if you start jumping around. I had a problem with this when I first started writing, when I first started blogging, because I wanted to give so much information that I had a tendency to skip over some information and then switch to other topics. So I think I've gotten better at this. And I think that's also, I'm also guilty of that because of writing academically, right? Academically, even though you focus on your one thesis, it has to be big enough to include a bunch of different topics. And so that I'm used to academic writing now. And so it's harder for me to switch from academic writing to blogging, which is another reason why I'm done. I'm so glad I'm done with my PhD, because I'm done with academic writing for a while. But it's important for your readers, and it's important for search engine optimization, because if the search engines start seeing you jump around, they're not going to know what to present your information for, and you're going to get deprioritized. And then, of course, I talked about this in a recent video that I released, but you include links to related content. So internal links as applicable to keep people on your site. So this helps reduce your bounce rate and helps keep, providing next steps to your viewers. So maybe instead of saying, at the end of the article, you're like, hey, if you're looking for tips on how to leash train your pup, your beagle puppy, check out our article on that here. And then you can link over to your other article. And so that's a really good way to keep people, okay, oh yeah, that's something else I needed. So let's go back to your, when you're looking for your topics, you want to go back and go, okay, well, now let's go back to Facebook and see, okay, I made 5 things that are related. Let's do 5 blog posts, and they all link to each other, right? And again, I want to emphasize, use Grammarly. It's free, and it helps with grammar, syntax, etc. I use it all the time. It's funny that this is telling me that it's improperly spelled. It is an actual word, but this is just internal spell check, by the way, not Grammarly. But they do have Grammarly for desktop. I don't use that. I just use it online. All right, so once you've created your blog page, you're going to market your blog page, right? And this is because nobody knows it's there until you tell them. So you're going to you need to take the steps necessary for your marketing plan. So if you plan on ranking on Google, you need to create the backlinks and generate some of your own traffic through marketing methods, which we're going to be covering marketing methods. So you see where this is going, right? So we've done email marketing last week, so we can now include that in here, right? We're going to generate traffic and create backlinks through sharing on social media. We're going to email our email list and let them know about the content. If you don't have an email list, skip this part and use Facebook Messenger to send an update to your subscribers. And you're like, but wait, how am I going to get emails? Here's where it comes into. And I put methods to monetize your blog, but it's really just these are your ways of this is your advertising method. So it just depends on what your strategy is. If you're just blogging to blog, remember how I said you can't really just blog to blog and make money? Well, the only way to do that is through ads. So if you want to blog to blog, you're going to be probably putting something like Google ads on your blog sites. And this is where you're placing other people's ads. So through the Google Ads platform on your site, and you're making money when people click on those ads. You can put your own ads for your own products. This does not require you to go through Google Ads. I want to emphasize that. This just means that you're going to put a widget with a picture and whatever information you want. And when they click on that, they're going to click over to your product, right? So it's really easy to create your own ads for your own products if you're using WordPress. You can have links to affiliate products. So these are all ways that you can monetize, right? Retargeting ads, this isn't really a way to monetize directly, but this is where you deliver ads on Facebook, on Pinterest, on YouTube, wherever it is, to only to people who have seen that specific page. So so people who see the Beagle potty training page, I'm going to retarget them with an ad on ideally potty training pads. But let's say that if I wanted to, I know that they're Beagle lovers because they specifically looked at that page, or at least they're most likely Beagle lovers. So now I can retarget them with my Beagle mug or my, Beagle shirt, whatever it is. Now that is still a slight disconnect because they're a Beagle lover, but they may not be in the market for buying Beagle product, Beagle merchandise like that. So that could still be a disconnect, which is tough. So it would be better if you're like, oh, how to potty train Beagle pups, and here I'm retargeting you with the potty training pads or with whatever the newest fad is right now, because I don't know if potty training pads are still in or not. So again, make sure that it's related. You don't want to be like, oh, hey, I'm going to retarget you now with travel to Europe if you came and saw my site about Beagle, how to potty train Beagle dogs. That would be a complete disconnect. Then, of course, email opt-in. So we've created our blog post. We're going to have our opt-in on the page so people can opt into the email for whatever it is. So if you have your Beagle calendar, right? So get your free Beagle calendar. Maybe that's what you do. You're not monetizing it, but you're capturing the emails that way. And then if you build your funnel, you could say, okay, well, now that you got this calendar, hey, maybe you want this shirt. Hey, maybe you want this mug, whatever that is. And of course, that all takes testing. All right, so we're going to capture emails with opt-ins, right? So refer back to the email marketing one for detailed information on how to do that for the email marketing. But you're going to include your opt-in offer on your blog post, right? So as an example, I have one site that we're testing this, and we're including the free opt-in at the bottom of every single page. We have it as on one page as a clear call to action. We'll probably have it on other pages as a clear call to action, but we specifically placed it on the bottom of every single page, right? Because that's what we want to do. We want to capture those emails. That's our primary goal, is to capture emails to promote. And we've got other things that people can do, but that's going to be our primary call to action. And you need to have a call to action in every single piece of content. So if you're writing a piece of content and you're like, hey, I don't want to monetize this because I want to build that value with my viewer, then have a call to action to your email list. Sign up for a newsletter, get this thing for free, whatever it is, whatever your primary opt-in is that works, have that as your call to action on other places. You don't have to monetize a page. I just said this, Baby Center, they might have ads. I haven't been on there in a long time, but they provide a ton of content, but they're not, and they're going to have calls to action constantly throughout there. Oh yeah, go here next, go here next. And perhaps they're just retargeting. I don't know. But that's something that they constantly have next steps. It's, again, for most of us, it's going to be sign up to an email list. All right, so now let's talk about some creative content delivery with Facebook. So we've talked about this in the past, but I'm going to kind of go over this just simple because we're going to talk more about this when we talk about Facebook. So in this instance, you could use Facebook Messenger to deliver content. I highly, highly, highly recommend you automate this and you don't do this manually, because if somebody's messaging you to get content, they want an answer now. They don't want, and if you're sleeping, you can't do it, right? So you want to automate that so that if they're like, oh, hey, I want to get whatever you've offered, I want to get this free piece of content or whatever it is, you can then deliver the information to them. So this is the same concept. They contact you through Messenger. This can be through a post where you have them click send message, right? This can be through, hey, comment below and I'll send you this, right? Those things, that's all the strategy we've talked about in the past. This is how you can do that with Messenger. You can deliver content the same way. So they're going to contact you through Messenger and you can have them subscribe or not. It's whatever your plan is. And you're going to deliver access via Messenger, usually as a link. So, hey, if you want this, message me. It's still free, right? It's still free content, but maybe it's something you don't want out there in the public, or you want to keep kind of like make people feel special. That's a big thing. Making people feel special is really important in marketing. And so you make them feel special when they have to get special access to it. So instead of having a blog post that everybody can read, maybe you're like, oh, hey, these are the 3 secrets that I found, and I'm going to share them with you through Messenger. And so we can have a discussion, right? Something like that. And there's a lot of different things that we can do on that. We'll talk more about strategy when we discuss Facebook, but that is one way you can do it. And then of course you can either deliver it through a link, or you can deliver it through, like, for example, if you don't have a website, right? You're like, oh, hey, I'm going to give you this information where I want to email it to you, right? That's normally what we do, is say, hey, email to us, give us our email. A lot of people are hesitant to give email, but they'll sign up through, they'll go, okay, yeah, hey, I want that link, send it to me, right? And so then instead you send them a link to a note that's on your Facebook page, right? So that way they, oh yeah, here you go, here's the content. And of course it's all automated, so you're not doing that instantly, but to them, they feel important. They engage with your page says, oh, hey, yeah, here's the link to get that information, blah, blah, blah. Now, if you're doing that, you're typically getting Messenger subscribers, but I do want to caution on that, and we'll talk more about that again when we talk about Facebook. So you do not need to have a blog in order to deliver content. You could literally just do a similar blog post on a note on Facebook, on your Facebook page, and deliver it that way. Now, you can also include it as an attachment within Messenger. Now, this is typically, you can attach a lot of stuff in Messenger now, but this is really great for video. I've seen that instead of putting it on YouTube and linking over to YouTube, where you just like, oh, hey, and you have it automate the video there. And I would say short and sweet is fine. So if you're like, oh, I've got, I can show you these 3 methods. And so it's obviously going to be showing is going to be through video. And you're like, okay, maybe you're teaching, you're training, a certain type of training. You're like, oh, this is the 3 ways to do this. And it's detailed, and it's something that's kind of like specific to what you've come up with or something. Then you could have it in a video and then deliver it. So again, we'll talk more strategy on this when we get to Facebook, but these are just some ideas to start thinking about. You can also use Facebook groups to deliver content. Now, I'm really bad about this because I just put it on my blog post and share the blog post. But you can literally upload your files or your blog posts as files. So you save them in Word or whatever as a PDF, and then you load it into Facebook, into the files section on your Facebook group. And then you tell people, you want to get access, join my Facebook group. So that's a way that if you want to build a Facebook group, it's a really easy way to say, hey, you get access, and then you have a video when people first join, that you have a video saying, hey, welcome, here's how you get access to the files, right? So it's really simple, really easy. And that is probably one of the simplest things I've seen outside of blogging. The biggest difference I see in that is that you have to use Facebook strategy to get in front of people on this. And again, we'll talk more about Facebook on that, but that's just an example of creative content delivery. You can do content delivery through email. You can do content delivery through, theoretically through text messaging, though that does get expensive sometimes. All right, so how does this fit in? And we've talked a little bit about this, but let's expand on this. So we use content to help find our audience, as in, those how-tos and those content keywords. We help find our audience. We introduce people to our brand, right? We introduce people to our brand or give them more exposure. And we lead them towards a purchaser inquiry. This is often called warming up your audience. And let's keep in mind that people need exposure to your brand, right? The more they see your brand with information they like, the more they trust your brand. And yes, your name can be your brand if that's what you're going for. But, there's all these numbers fly around. It used to be called I think it was the number, marketing was a 7, right? 7 times you'd be exposed. Well, a lot of recent research, which of course none of it is scholarly or legitimate, but all of the recent research by less than scholarly people have indicated that exposure needs to be a lot more online. They're getting exposed to stuff left and right. Just because they've seen your brand 7 times doesn't mean they're going to make a purchase. And keeping in mind that 7 times in the old version was an average. And they had very limited methods for exposure back then. Now we've got unlimited methods of exposure. And we probably do need a lot more than 7. So if somebody needs to be exposed to your brand 15, 20, 25 times before they start to really warm up to you, then content is a great way to do that, right? I would not want to pay for ads for that long to get in front of people and be like, oh, hey, yeah, oh, finally, somebody's buying it. I mean, because again, even if you're just targeting with just advertising, unless you have really good ads, it's going to be difficult to capture their attention. They may not even really see your brand. So content is a great way to build that trust factor, that value, that compassion, that whatever word you choose, whatever you're finding, where people are like, oh, hey, I trust you more. I'm more likely to purchase from you than I would somebody who I don't know. If you want to build that, content really does help. And when you give people something of value with no expectations of something in return, you build more trust, right? You build more trust with people when you say, oh, hey, I here you go. I just want to help you, right? I mean, I think we all become a little cynical at some point and go, yeah, they want something. And of course, in a business, eventually they are going to want something. But if you take the time to give that value, they're going to be more likely to make a connection with you later on as well. All right, so that's pretty much content marketing. It's really not overly complicated. It's just creating content. Again, blogging is the most common method. So that's something to keep in mind, is that you're like, oh, hey, if I need to figure out how to deliver content, blogging typically is the easiest to get started with. But if you're more comfortable, Linda, you're really, really, really good on Facebook, at least with the engagement and everything else, it might be more comfortable for you to build something on Facebook where you use Messenger or something like that. But I don't know. I'll be honest, I'm even more hesitant now with Facebook, the more changes that they make, because they announced back in like May that they're going to be focusing on Facebook groups. And with that focus on Facebook groups is also an algorithm shift, where it used to be, when we first started Lead Generation Source, it was like everybody got notified of everything. Oh, I have a lot of blog sites, Linda. I don't know. That one's for a customer. The one I was talking about before is for a customer, so I can't share that one. But let me see if I have. I don't think I have a call to action on any of these yet, on my normal ones. Yeah, that looks really ugly too. Yeah, so like on Little Biz Resources, I'm trying to, well, I don't know. I'm not really working on that one right now. But anyway, yeah. So the one that I'm focused mostly on customer ones, but I'll see if I get permission from some of them, we'll share those. But we have to see first. So anyway, yeah, but there are a lot of different blog things. Like I blog a lot on Chatty Review is one that I do blogging on, but I'm still rebuilding that one because I rebuild my sites a lot. I need to focus on one thing. But anyway, so this is the one that I do a lot of, is Chatty Review. And I haven't done a lot lately, but if you go into the digital marketing section, you'll see a couple of them in there. And that was mostly because I was testing, right? So I was testing Facebook. I mean, Facebook, you're right. I was testing Pinterest. So Linda, there's a lot of different conjecture on how often to write a blog post. And to be honest, it just really depends on what you're writing about. If you have like some places I know, they only have like 10 blog posts and they've written them over the last 2 years. Why? Because all they need to do, they only write a blog post when they have a change to something. And like local companies, a lot of local companies don't do any blogging. They may have a blog to bring in content, but they don't have to post regularly. Like once a month is fine. And it just depends on what you're writing about, how often you can get to it, etc. Because, right, exactly. Like a financial person, when changes in the market, etc. Yeah. So the difference with financial one is that they are making changes constantly. Same thing with like social media, right? It's social media changes. I mean, every single month I could literally have probably a weekly blog post on one of the social media platforms and the updates that they make, right? It's just that they are all constantly making updates. And it's like, but what would be the point of that? Because honestly, a lot of that stuff means nothing. Pinterest made an algorithm change, which we'll talk about when we talk about Pinterest marketing, which by the way is next week, or next time, I should say. It's not next week. It's October 3rd. And of course, you guys already have access to the Pinterest marketing course, so you're welcome to get started on that. But, they made a change where they went from, and we've talked about this before, but where they went from group boards being the must have, which that's the way it was up until about a year ago. And then all of a sudden everybody started seeing a shift. And earlier this year, they announced that they deprioritized group boards. And the assumption was that because they deprioritized group boards, that meant that individual boards are better. So your individual boards are better. And the reality is that it doesn't really matter anymore. It's like Facebook, right? So Pinterest has now turned into the new Facebook, where they've changed their algorithm to where they decide what content gets put in front of you rather than followers following you for specific content. Because guess what? If your followers aren't clicking on your stuff, Pinterest is going to stop showing it exactly like Facebook does. And I'm like, super annoying, but that's where Tailwind comes in handy, where you can have other people showing it to their people and you can actually build some momentum. And Chatty Review had, when I was doing it, I was getting quite a few people clicking over to my site. My problem was I didn't have enough content, so people were bouncing like crazy, which means that they read the page, then closed it, right? So, but again, that was a whole test site. So that's where I do a lot of testing. And then I report back. So that will be Pinterest information will be next week. Lots of good information, though, coming on. So Linda, so it pretty much made sense, right? I mean, there wasn't any shocking, oh, I didn't know that, or, oh my gosh, I can't believe you do it that way. I mean, I'm sure you learned something, but I mean, you were like, oh my gosh, that's like, oh, why is it doing that? Yeah, I always do. I appreciate that, Linda. You're like, I have ideas about potty training pit bulls now, though. I don't know if pit bulls have special potty training needs. Beagles do, but I don't know about pit bulls. Yeah, and honestly, like I said, content marketing isn't necessarily for everyone. If you don't have the time to put into any content marketing at all, you might just hold off. But you actually technically do content marketing, Linda. So I talked about blogging, but you can do it with Facebook as well. So like your all of the efforts that you do on Facebook, that is content marketing, right? You're sharing other people's content. You're putting posts up there and you're engaging on them. Oh, hey, Joanne. Yeah, that's okay. You're on vacation. That's called vacation time. But yeah, when you do, and in fact, that's what I like to run a Facebook post, which I haven't done this recently because I haven't had time, but I like to run a Facebook post, get information, and then write a blog post about that. So like what I did is I shared on, you'll see that on Chatty Review. In fact, I'll bring up that specific one. It is Facebook viral post case study, right? So that's a keyword, obviously. And this is it right here. And it was tough for me to get the information in that I wanted. And I was trying to focus more on something. Yeah. You have to ask fans info, then blog about it. And so what I like to do about that is I find a keyword. So in this case, it was a Facebook viral post case study. And that is a specific keyword that is used. I don't know if there's a lot of searches specifically on Google for that, but it was on Pinterest. There was people looking for it. So I used that and I put it as a pin on Pinterest. And then I actually need to check because I think I forgot to put it in some other my tribes, but I put it in some tribes and I ended up getting, like 100 and something people back to my page just from that one blog post. So if you think about that, if you can get, and that was more from people that were in tribes that were clicking back rather than from people that were on Pinterest. So there are lots of different ways to get in front of people. You just kind of have to find the information about that. But I hope that I hope to do eventually is duplicate a similar post like that, put it on Lead Generation Source, and then Lead Generation Source will then lead people back into here you go. Here's our Facebook course on that. So we did a viral post, we analyzed it, and then I wrote up a blog post on it. So it's generated content from Facebook that I could then write about for people. So that's something that it's always a great way to create content from that, because if you can create content related to what people are interested in your niche, they're going to be more likely to engage with it, to go, oh, hey, that was very interesting. That was valuable to me. I was doing Facebook viral post case study from this year, right? From this year. And so even though the information hasn't changed in a year, it's from this year. So people can go, oh yeah, it still works in 2019. Right. Yeah. Creating content on, I can't say that word, people that love their pit bulls gets lots of support. Yeah. Yeah. Sharing their stories and stuff. Yeah. Well, and I've seen that a lot, like in the Beagle boards too, where people will post something and they'll post something like, oh, hey, here's my Beagle, share yours too. Right. And in groups that works really well because that's the new algorithm. It's the same thing as the regular one. So the algorithm shifted to, if you post something in your group, you have to get engagement in order for Facebook to notify other people in the group about it. And I'm like, so basically groups are the new pages, and pages and groups are kind of the same thing as just a privacy level, you know, if you have it public or not. And I'm like, this is so annoying. It's so annoying. And that was because Facebook is trying to figure out a way to monetize, as in add ads to Facebook groups now. So that's what they're focusing on. We've known it's been coming forever. So when they do that, it's not like I predicted that. Everybody's been hypothesizing that for a while now. Because Facebook's got to look for new ways to make money. They keep minimizing their real estate for their ads. I mean, think about it. If people aren't going to be able to see my content, they're not going to be following my page, and it all goes into their feed, and they can only do so much in their feed. So their real estate really starts to dry up if people stop going into their feed for stuff. But if you want, so for example, like I'm in Lead Generation Source Facebook group, right? So if I post something in there, it gets shown to 5 of you. And if the 5 of you don't react to that, it's not going to get shown to any more. It's really insane. And I'm like, great. I think I have an entire group of people who don't like to engage. Thinking that visits and videos or pictures to previous shed buyers and how they're using them would be good. Yeah, it would be. And again, let's go back here real quick. Use your keyword research, right? So make sure you're using your keyword research. So when you're saying, oh, hey, I want to do something about that, let's see how to, or, if you're doing, you had mentioned she sheds in the past. So let's see if I do she shed. I'll do it over here so you guys can see. So we know that she shed gets a lot, 90,500 search volume. And you can see here that my searches are going to be sponsored e-com or sponsored commerce. It could be e-commerce or not. These are all e-commerce. Videos, that's interesting. Oh, look, people also ask, what is she shed? What exactly is a she shed? How much does a she shed cost? And who burned Cheryl's she shed? Okay, that's interesting. So they got books here. I'm surprised they don't have a local search on this, honestly. But you can see searches related to this. And so how to build a she shed plans free, which you could probably look at she shed plans. You don't necessarily have to do one on this, but you can, so that one's a little bit more. See, even though it was recommending she shed plans free, if I took off the word free, she shed plans came up and that was fine. So you can see interiors, look at she shed interiors. That would be a good one. You could have pictures and talk about how they can do that and everything else. And then, tell them, hey, when you're ready for a she shed, contact us. Right. So you've got that one's 1,900 searches per month. So there's a lot of different options on that. And when you start targeting the content like that, you're going to find more people. Because, I think about exactly your dilemma, right? So Linda, when I am looking for a building, I've always looked for a building that met my specific needs, right? So for example, if I need a tool shed, like a tool one for outdoor, I want it to be plastic or something, that's exactly what I'm going to type in to look for it. Now, usually I just go down to Home Depot and Lowe's to see what they have because I'm impatient and I keep waiting. But now we don't own this place, so we can't do it. But like when we were at the Woodside house, that was our old house. And we would go and say, okay, They have awful. I know they do, Linda, which is why I typically get discouraged. So, but I'll go there and get some ideas and everything, and then we never did purchase one at all. Old hickory buildings. Yeah. So anyway, so that's what, if somebody, obviously she shed is a big thing that people are looking for, right? So what are they, I don't know. Man cave shed. There it is. Comes up right there. Man cave shed. Came up as a recommended one right there. 4,400 searches per month. Man cave ideas. That's another one, right? She Shed State Farm. Is that when Cheryl's shed burned down? Yeah, yeah. So that was why who burned Cheryl's she shed. Look at that. So that's funny. Yeah. With the second floor and yeah. Yeah. So I mean, when you can bring stuff like that, you bring content like that out to people and they're going to be more interested in it. And here's the thing, something with like what you're selling is typically not what I would call a low ticket item. So it requires plenty of exposure to it and people need to be comfortable. That needs to be something, I don't know why, but people will emotionally buy for big ticket stuff, right? Think about a house. My husband and I joke about this all the time. When we look for houses, we are not the typical buyer. Like we go into a house and we look at the layout, if we can adjust the layout, and if we like the yard and the surroundings. So a lot of people may look at that, but then they'll go, so many people will go, when we were selling our house, it drove me crazy. Well, I don't like that flooring. So freaking change it. Oh, I don't like the paint on that wall. So change it. I had one guy go, can you tear out that closet? Oh no, can you put in a closet or something? And we were like, I think we did put the closet in. And then the next person was like, well, can you tear it out? We're like, no, if you want it torn out, you tear it out yourself. So we went back and forth with like every single person was so nitpicky. And for us, like we didn't care. Like if we were like, oh, hey, this room is really big and we need one more room. We just like, okay, well, we'll build a wall. Right. So it's like one of those things that it's like people are so emotional when it comes to stuff like that. So if you can tap into that emotion and get them to look at your brand as the one that made them happy or made them excited about this or whatever, they're going to be more excited about purchasing from you than they would have been not having that content. All right. So Linda, you said, I get discouraged making new nice Canva posts and no one likes them. You're talking about putting them on Facebook and nobody liking them on Facebook? Oh, okay. So if you're talking about Facebook, this is exactly what I was talking about. So Facebook has again shifted to, and everybody's complaining about this, by the way. Facebook has really shifted to, they want engagement. So if your post isn't super engaging or doesn't somehow inspire people to, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it best. We're going to test a couple of them out. And this one, look at that Facebook viral post and you'll see what I'm talking about. That article I linked. That one happened. That one took off way more than we thought it would. And we didn't have anything set up or in place for it to monetize that or capture anybody. So it did build a lot of likes on the page, but it's funny because that's not really what the page is doing right now. And so we ended up losing some likes. And I know one of the page owners is like upset about it. And we're like, look, it's because this is a strategy and it takes time and it takes money to do all of this. And we just did it kind of as she actually did it on accident. And we helped cultivate it. And so in order to create something that is viral like that, you really have to tap into those emotions. Right. It's a building and someone buying it, not a cute dog. So it's a challenge. Exactly. And to be honest, if Facebook has identified your page or the post as something that is promoting something, right? So if they have said, okay, hey, this is somehow promoting something or linking back to, this is why I said, like if it links back to a Shopify store, you're kind of done if your Facebook page does, because what ends up happening is that Facebook identifies that Shopify link as e-commerce, and then they assume that everything you're doing is e-commerce. And I honestly think your reach is lower because of it. You have more of a burden to overcome that. So, right, and you're a business, and that's the whole thing. As local businesses, they're not going to get shown to very many people. Right? It's the same thing like Google. Google's not going to show your local business to somebody in Florida. Not likely. They have a range that they'll show. In fact, I know I've seen some searches where I search and they'll show me up to the other side of the Metroplex, which is like 40 miles away, 40, 50 miles away. So I think it's about 50 miles is what they'll do. And if you're outside that 50-mile radius, the likelihood of you showing up is slim to none, especially if it's a local search. Facebook's the same way, right? Facebook's going to go, look, this person isn't in this area, so they're less likely to engage with it and like it. And that's where the likes on your page are better, because Facebook starts to mix it up when you have likes on your page. So this is something that I've been talking about with marketing in general. It's very, very different for local versus national. It's the same steps, but it's still different. Yeah, adds to a 50-mile circle around us. Yeah, and that's probably your best bet to start with, because especially if people need to come and physically see them. And a lot of people do, right? They want to physically see something before they purchase it. Very rarely do people buy a house online. It happens. In fact, my aunt sold her house and they did everything online. I don't even think the guy went and looked at it, but he had a contractor go and look at it because they were going to be like tearing it down and building something else. So it's very rare to have that happen, right? So your big ticket purchases, again, like I said, I go down to Home Depot and Lowe's and look at those buildings before I make any decisions. We have other building places here, but they're only open during business hours during the week, and my husband works. So we never get to go look at those. So we're stuck with whatever's open on the weekends, and that tends to be Home Depot and Lowe's. So it's just one of those things. It's like you gotta figure out, maybe depending, I don't know what your hours are or how it's 10 to 2 on Saturday. So that's good. Yeah, 10 to 2 on Saturday. And maybe you offer something in the future if you find out that, hey, and this, I have no idea if this would work for you or not, but let's just say that you find out that, yeah, there are some people who want to meet at other times, like they have to meet at 6 p.m. and we're closed at 5. Like maybe you have a scheduler that allows them to pick from select times that you would be willing to meet otherwise. Who knows? Yeah, so appointments, right? Exactly. So, that's something that you may have to automate that to help people, encourage people or something. It's just a lot of testing to do. You just got to keep working towards it. But you're doing pretty good on it, right? On that particular business. Like an open house. Donuts and coffee. Good. Yeah, see, I would think that, so coffee and having donuts and coffee like on a Saturday or something is a great way to bring people in, but not necessarily buyers. So you got to figure out a way to capture those people. So it would be like having an open house, right? So think about an open house of a house. People come in, what's the first thing they have to do? They have to sign in. They give their email address. They get the literature or whatever, right? So you got to think about the same type of thing when you're bringing people in. Have them come in, have them sign up for something. So sign up for, oh, hey, we're doing this giveaway or we're doing this. And then as you capture that information, you can now put them on an email list, or you can say, or if you want to do, I use Chatmatic for this, but you could have a scan code and they then become part of your messenger, a messenger subscriber through that, or they get the information through Messenger. So, well, it doesn't have to be like, oh, here's a free shed or anything. It could just be something like, a shelving kit, or it could be nothing. It could be like, oh, hey, think about the She Shed man cave thing, right? Sign up for something for this or something for this. And I don't know if you guys have any accessories that you sell or promote, or it doesn't even have to be that. It'd be like, hey, we've got a toaster here. It's like the best toaster on the market. We got it on Amazon for clearance, but hey, they don't know. You know, it could literally be just about anything fun for them. But I was thinking of something related more to the, toaster. That's what banks used to give away, right? Hey, it worked for them back in the day. Of course, I hear banks aren't doing as well as they used to be. So maybe their methods are dead. Yeah, like something that you can do that once and maybe make it that it's free when they make a purchase or something, or and I don't know, I guess if you're there on that day, I don't know, something, but you can come up with something that's relatively inexpensive. You can find on Amazon and give that away for free. And it's something that people would like, and they'd sign up for and, be a part of that. And, so that's just something you have to think of and think outside and test, right? You may do it and it's a complete failure, but you're like, oh, hey, at least I did it and tested it. And I know that's not the way to go. You can always find something on AliExpress if you plan far enough out. But of course, AliExpress is now charging taxes or something, right? Isn't that what you said, Joanne? Because of all the thanks, Linda. Yeah, one of these days we'll have to do a Facebook Live and see if we can get more people on and just talk about different ideas to do. Yeah, exactly. Think tank share. There you go. But I think sometimes that's what people need, right? It's so much easier for me to, like, Stephen talked for hours that one day, no kidding. But it's so much easier for me to give other people ideas than it is for me to think of ideas for myself. Like, I have to literally, like, you can ask Chrissy, we'll go back and forth. And then one day I'll be like, oh my God, why didn't I think of this? I'm like, that should have been like number one on my thought process. And for some reason it's like blocked. And a lot of people say this is very, very common, which is why a lot of times people will have to pay for somebody, a consultant to come in and point out things to them that they should already know. Why? Because they're what they call too close to it, right? And it's really difficult for us as humans to take ourselves out of that and place ourselves away from it and say, what would I do? And so for me, I get a lot of my ideas looking at other people's businesses and going, oh yeah, this is what you should do. Oh, wait, I should be doing that. Yeah, Cassandra is always right by my side. So it would be more like a meeting with me and her, except for she's napping right now. She's been sick. She has a sinus infection. Surprise, surprise. The stuff in the air here has been so bad. We've had orange quality days. I don't even know how many, like every day for the last 3 weeks or something. It's been bad. No jokes. Yeah. I actually didn't tell her to take a nap either. I had to give her Benadryl, which probably made her tired. But then she turns around and she said she was just talking to her daddy like 10 minutes before that. And then he called me, and then I typed up some more stuff on the PowerPoint, and I walked in to tell her something, and she was asleep. I was like, okay, shut her door. But yeah, she was up at 6, so that's fine. She can take a nap. Yeah, actually, we are talking about moving, but we're not moving that way because you guys are way too humid still. We're moving either towards Chrissy, or maybe up to Idaho, or maybe Salt Lake. Those are our 3 areas right now.
All right, I'm clearing out flannel so that way you can live with me.
Sure you are.
It'd take me forever.
No kidding. Yeah, that would be interesting though.
Hi. I've been saying in the beginning of Flannel World. Flannel World's fine. It's been busy. I actually got a really sweet order just now from somebody who had a touching note in there. It's kind of sad, actually. I don't want to say it. Someone make me cry.
Well, don't then, because then it'll make me cry, and then we'll have to end.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely will make you cry. Definitely you.
Because I'm a big baby, huh?
Nope, because you can relate to it.
Oh, God, then no, don't say it. No, it's probably really sad, and I don't.
It's so beyond sad. It's ridiculous. So, yeah. But let's just say this. She was very glad and very happy to be able to find the design that she's been looking for. And she's very touched with the fact that I still have it. So.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, that's why I carry so much stuff, you know. Almost 3,000 designs. I can't quite get there because I sell out too much. I sell out more designs than what I can keep bringing in.
Yeah, so Chrissy actually has a good base for something that she could build content on. So this would be the same thing along the lines that you were talking about, Linda, where you talk about like how people use it. And if you go beyond that and say, rather than just how people use it, talk about how it's helped their lives, right? You know, so maybe like let's just say that I needed an office, right? So I need my own she shed as an office. And I was cramped in one space and I wasn't getting my work done and nothing could get organized. And then I was able to move out into a she shed and our lives improved in the house and it improved on this. And, you know, if you could talk about that in your blog post, you're going to touch that emotional thing. You're going to talk to people who are in the exact same situation, right? Oh my gosh, yes, I need to move. I need more space for X, Y, Z. Right. And I need the same thing. So if somebody has done it, somebody else is looking for that solution. So when you talk about that and you touch them with that particular emotion, they're going to be more open to the idea and the purchase.
I have a good idea too. You could find a super famous author who wrote in a either man cave shed or she shed and say this is why, because they're in their own little world, basically in their shed. And then everyone else will want to do the same thing.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, you should. I don't know how you find that. You have to just Google an article and then rewrite it.
Right.
Because I don't know anybody famous who did that. So I'm sure there's somebody who did, but
yeah, there's got to be somebody.
Here, I'll go do it. I'll go get a she shed and I'll write a novel and become famous, and then I'll do an article.
I don't think your backyard's big enough for a she shed.
I could get a quarter of one, maybe.
Yeah, I got that from a group nonetheless. And I was like, dude, I'm stealing that. I'm sending it to Linda.
Well, it's out there somewhere.
Good. Yeah. I mean, I knew it would be good for you because I thought that was a really good, when I saw that, they weren't even talking about sheds, by the way. They were talking about something about, I can't remember what the original post was that the guy posted. It's not from him anyway. He got it from somewhere else. But when I saw it, I was like, he was writing it for like basically taking action and that we have it better off than they did or something. And I was like, dude, that means, I go, moral of the story, you need a garage. And so I stole that. Yeah. Oh, Chrissy can write. She could probably write a bestseller fast if we weren't doing 100 other projects. Right, Chrissy? No, the saying was on there. And that's why I said whatever he was posting it for was something completely different. And I was like, yeah, that fits more for what Linda's doing than what this guy was trying to say. I'm like, but thank you very much.
Yoink.
Yoink. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, if it's those original ones, they're out there somewhere. But yeah, I could write a bestseller probably pretty good. When I was in high school, I used to write, and the teacher I had was really pushing me to go through courses on writing and stuff like that. And he passed away, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore because I don't have anyone to guide me. So
yeah, that was really sucky. That put both of our writing futures into a completely different path.
Yep. Yeah, I guarantee if he was still around, I'd be writing like crazy.
Well, if he had just made it through our senior year, we would have been different.
Yeah, that would have been extremely different.
Yeah, it was really sad. Like we were walking in, so that was our first class for the day. And so we were like trying to get into the class. Yeah, we were in the same grade. Yes.
Yeah, we're actually in most of the same classes too because
we were smart and most of the school wasn't. And so
they only had one. Yeah, they only had one GT, AT, whatever, advanced AP. I guess they're called AP back then. And advanced placement classes. They only had one per subject, and it was the only one throughout the day. And we'd have most of the time we were freshmen and with seniors and stuff like that. But yeah, so we had to be in all the same classes almost.
Yeah, they tried to switch us up when they could, like, because we had band together. And so one year they switched our band, and then the band teacher's like, I need them both in this class. And so they had to, the next year they couldn't do it. So we were in a lot of the same classes. But yes, the teachers did go nuts, but we were both really good. It's not like we were bad or did anything. But
yeah, and it was really, you know what, it was really bad for us though, because I wanted to try switching classes and doing all the twin stuff that people always say, oh, did you do this? No, we couldn't do it. Even if we wanted to, we couldn't.
no, because we were in the same class. It's like we could switch seats.
Yeah, I know.
That's about it.
We did a couple times, but it wasn't like we were doing it to be jerky or anything like that. It was just like, oh, well.
We mostly did it to mess with the other kids, not the teachers, though.
Teachers could usually. Anyway, yeah. So, yeah, we lost our teacher in senior year, and that was horrible, which is ironic that I got a 4.0 that year because I didn't want to do anything else. I just was like, okay, I need to bury myself in the school.
I did not see that. I did not see that at all.
Wait, was that a funny one or a sad one? Oh, okay. Okay, as long as it's funny.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
I've heard of that happening.
I don't know. Chrissy got a lot more attention when we were babies.
It's because I cried more, probably.
That's exactly why. Oh, and then my dad. Well, this is the best part ever, right? So if we could put this in a picture, it would be awesome. But we're now obviously, we got to find a picture. I know Dad took a picture, but we were babies, and my dad was telling us the story. And he said, "Yeah, when we were first born, they told him, they're like, you need to keep them in their own cribs." And we would just cry and cry and cry. And so eventually he'd take one of us and put us in the other crib, and we would just wiggle over until we touch each other. And then we'd stop crying. And so he would pull us apart and we'd start crying, and then we'd wiggle back together. And once we touch each other, we'd stop crying.
Dad is horrible, by the way.
I know. He totally is like, he would be like a total
mad scientist.
Yeah, he is mad scientist, right? All right. So that would be my dad. I'm glad he doesn't listen to these.
Right. When I say horrible, it's in a positive way now.
Right.
But
it's funny now.
You're thinking you're tortured, so.
Yeah, so and the thing is, he hasn't changed either. He still would do that. I always have to be like, dude, my daughter is not a science experiment, Dad. Stop it.
Let's see what happens when you touch her with this.
Right. So, but he'd tell us these stories, and I'm going, what? Why? Why would you do that? But yeah, so we've been experimented on our whole lives. Our whole lives.
Well, we're freaks of nature, so that makes sense.
That's true.
Are we talking about anything else, or I'm gonna have to get ready to go. So.
Yeah, I think we're good. Scroll back down. So October 3rd is Pinterest marketing. Of course, I do like Pinterest still, even though they've made some changes. So if you want to get a head start, you can start into the Pinterest marketing. The other supplemental courses for content marketing, blogging, for email marketing, for all of those, they're coming. I've had a major setback with my EP Laser e-commerce stuff, because we sent all of our product in to Amazon to get started, and I've been dealing with them for the last several weeks because they lost our inventory, like completely lost all of it. So we're not making sales, we're not doing anything, and they finally are like, well, we'll just buy it. And I'm like, you don't understand. That doesn't help me. I mean, yeah, it does as far as financial. Yeah, that's great. I made the money back, but I lose out on all of the other perks of the sales. And so it's actually hurting me, because I'd rather have the sales from customers, because it helps improve our listings. It helps improve our customer reach, helps get us out there. And we're just basically going to lose our momentum because of it. So I've been scrambling to get more product together, and our material that we use, they stopped stocking it. So we had to custom order it, and it's not coming in until the end of the month. So it's just been this huge nightmare. So anyway, this stuff is coming. I just don't know when. It may not be till the end of the year at the rate we're going, but I'll try. I'll try to get out as soon as I possibly can.
Can you hear that?
Yeah, I can.
Sorry. It's across the room.
All right. Well, we'll get going. And thanks, Linda, for coming. I know Joanne was on for a little while. She had to pop back off. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, pop them into the Facebook group. We'll see you next time, and have a great weekend.
Bye, guys.
Bye.